If you're preparing for the IELTS test at home, you might not be confident that you're focusing on the right things. In this lesson, I will share the basic steps that you need to follow, and I will share specific tips to make sure you're getting the most out of your IELTS preparation. My name is Lara Ryan. I've been an IELTS examiner, I've been an IELTS teacher at the British Council, I have over a decade of experience with the IELTS test, and I am the founder of Complete Test Success. First of all, let's look at the basics of mastering the IELTS test. In the first stage, you're just going to learn about the test. Now you'll find all the information you need for IELTS reading, writing, listening and speaking in the playlists that I've created, and you'll find a link to those in the video description. From there, you need to move to practicing what you've learned. So initially you'll know what to do, but by practicing you'll become proficient in doing it by yourself. But there will come a point where you've improved as much as you can by yourself, and from there you move to the next stage where you find out your key weaknesses. Now, this is really the only stage that you cannot do alone, and by getting the support of an IELTS expert, they will be able to look at your writing, tell you what you're doing wrong, tell you your key mistakes, and that will give you the focus you need on what to do next. Or similarly, with speaking, they will be able to identify your key mistakes. Now, any IELTS expert can do this for you, but I do have free live feedback lessons that you can join with the link in the video description. Once you've found out your key weaknesses, you move to the next stage where you take action to overcome these key weaknesses. Once you've made the necessary improvements, you go back and find your new key weakness. Now, of course, your initial key weakness has now improved, so it will be something else that you will need to work on this time. From there, you just repeat the process of finding your new key weaknesses and overcoming each of those one at a time. And eventually, you get yourself to the level where you're ready to do the IELTS test and get your desired scores. A massive hurdle for IELTS students is the fear zone, so let's look at how to move beyond the fear zone. This begins with your comfort zone, where you're doing things that you're already capable of doing, you're not learning anything new, and you're not pushing yourself to perform in areas that you have not performed in before. Once you try something new, you move into the fear zone. And this is completely natural, it's completely normal, and it happens to everyone in every endeavour, not just the IELTS test. And the fear zone is where we make excuses, we're affected by other people's opinions, we lack self-confidence, and of course we are afraid of failure. So if you're in the fear zone, you're trying to make excuses as to why it's too difficult for you, or why there's some external factor stopping you do it, or some other reason why it's not your fault that you cannot improve, or it's not your fault why you cannot get the scores that you need. But what's really important is to understand what's happening, and you need to push yourself beyond the fear zone and into the learning zone. And the learning zone is where you increase your knowledge, you develop your confidence, extend your comfort zone, you acquire new skills, and you deal with whatever challenges arise. Now, basically what that means is that you take action on your problems, you look for your mistakes, you look to improve your mistakes, and you always push yourself further and further by focusing on the things that really matter to your IELTS score. Beyond the learning zone is the growth zone, and that's essentially you getting your IELTS scores. The tips throughout the rest of this lesson are aimed at getting you into the learning zone. Before you look at any IELTS materials, you need to organise your time. So the first stage of this is to free up as much of your time as possible. If you're busy at work, you might want to cut down on the number of hours you're doing, or you might need to take some time off. If you're busy with your family, you might need to explain to them that you don't have as much time to support them as normal until you're finished with the IELTS test. Or you might be busy with your university exams, so those are going to take priority and you'll just need to delay your IELTS test until a later time. Or if you're busy with your hobbies, you just need to quit those for the time being. Whatever the case is, you need to make as much time available as possible to prepare for the IELTS test. Once you've made yourself available for more hours, you need to decide specifically what time you will study at for each day of the week. When you're designing your schedule, don't just have it in mind and think about what you will do. You should physically write down your schedule of what times you will study each day, and this will make you more obliged to follow it. But even better again, you take that schedule and you put it somewhere like on your fridge where everybody in your family can see it. And that will make you more accountable because they will see when you should be studying and if you are or if you are not. Here's an example of a schedule. Now, your schedule does not have to be the exact same as this one, but it's just a good example where you see this person is getting up early, doing an hour of study before work in the morning, they're using 30 minutes during their lunch break, and again they're doing 2 hours before they go to bed. Then at the weekend, you can see that they're doing an additional 8 hours of IELTS preparation each day. So now we're looking at when you physically sit down at your desk and you start studying. And the first thing you need to do is remove all distractions. So this might mean that you need to turn off the TV, you might need to put your phone on silent, you might need to ask the people you live with not to disturb you while you're studying, or you might physically need to go to another place such as a library where you can focus more on your IELTS preparation. Or you might need to use your laptop when you're studying, but what happens is you keep on checking social media, or you keep on reading your favourite magazine. So there are apps online that you can use that will remove your options to visit those places. Next, I'm going to give you some tips about deciding what to study, but make sure to subscribe to my channel and like my page before we continue. Firstly, I would say don't overload yourself, so you might need to improve your reading, your writing, your listening and your speaking scores. But you shouldn't work on all of those at the same time because you're spreading yourself too thin and your progress will be too slow. So instead, just choose one to focus on for now. But you need to be even more focused than that and choose something specific to study. So let's just say that I'm starting with IELTS writing. I should first decide, am I going to do task 1 or task 2 today? But I need to go even deeper than that. And once I've decided, I'll choose task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, or grammatical range and accuracy. But we need to go even deeper than that again. So let's say we're working on task achievement. Are we looking at generating ideas? Do we have a problem with generating relevant ideas or specific ideas? Do we have a problem with question analysis? Do we have a problem with developing ideas, and so on? By choosing something very specific in this way, you will make much more progress with the time you use preparing for the IELTS test. In the exact same way, if we were looking at IELTS speaking, we would decide on fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, or pronunciation. And then again, you need to narrow your focus even more. So if you're doing pronunciation, you might work on an individual sound, or you might work on word stress, sentence stress, connected speech, intonation, or whatever area needs your attention. So the point here is that you're choosing something very specific to focus on so that you know exactly what you want to improve and you're not wasting any time looking at various materials that are unrelated to what you need to do. So if this is helping you, make sure to click like on the video. The next thing you need to do is to consider how are your actions actually improving your scores. So an example of this is where a student wants to improve their speaking. So they want to have a speaking partner so that they speak more and that improves their speaking. But that's not how it works. If you need to improve your speaking, it's because you have a problem with your fluency, or a problem with your vocab, your grammar, your pronunciation. So decide which one of those you want to improve, and then consider how is having a speaking partner and speaking going to improve your vocab? How is it going to improve your grammar? How is it going to improve your pronunciation? And in a lot of cases, it's not. So just be aware of what you're trying to improve and how your actions are actually affecting those things. And then don't forget that IELTS is an English language proficiency test. And for most IELTS candidates, the reason that they're not getting the score that they need is because they don't have the language ability. So don't just focus all your attention on IELTS. You need to also focus a lot of your time on improving your English language ability. And finally, don't book the test until you're ready. When you're going through the process of finding your key mistakes and improving those, the IELTS expert that you're working with should be able to tell you what scores you're capable of getting. And that will indicate whether you're ready for the test or not. And now in the comments below, let me know if you think there are any drawbacks to preparing for the IELTS test at home.